What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Wise Guy Cast Digest. Something I don't know. Apologies, people, for messing up. The Wise Guy Digest. Jeez. Took me a while to get to doing this because I haven't been feeling good. Been a really bad week for me. I've been feeling sick. Stomach's been killing me. Sinuses draining like crazy. Your boy's not having a good week, but feeling better enough to sit here and do this podcast. I was surprised I made it through the His Point Her View podcast earlier this week. But they were fun. I'm glad I got through them. Um, yeah, especially the BET one. The BET one was quite entertaining, but we'll get to that later. Let's go ahead and start off top with the first subject, which is always, of course, gaming. But before I do that, I'm just gonna run down some details for you guys as far as the channel and how to access this podcast and other podcasts on the Wise Guy Gaming, Sports, and Entertainment Network. So we are available in audio format if you prefer to just listen to the podcast in MP3 form, take it on the go with you. You could always check out our SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, or iTunes. All those links are in the description. So feel free to click those. Also, if you want to support the channel, feel free to click our Patreon page and pledge. Uh, all who pledges gets to post on our forums. You also get special blogs and early access to podcasts. So you can expect to see the podcast normally a few days before they actually post on their traditional days there. So that's a little benefit, and that's a thank you to anybody who wants to help us out with production costs. It's not a whole lot, but at the same time, things do cost. You have to cost for hosting podcasts um, on other venues, equipment, things like that, software to help improve. Yeah, those are things that we're looking forward to getting so we can expand on the Wise Guy Gaming, Sports, and Entertainment community and, work on a lot more ideas. So please feel free to hit that link. Now, topic for gaming is free DLC. At the time of this recording, one of my favorite games, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, is getting a update in which you're going to get some free DLC content. Now, it was announced early before Uncharted 4 release that their multiplayer section of the game was going to get free content. The DLC, for the most part, was going to be free, with the exception of the story DLC, I believe. It's the only thing that you really have to pay for. I'm sure there's some um, other things like certain packs, multiplayer packs that might fall in line with that. That makes it easier to get access to certain things. But all maps, all game modes, and there's going to be guns, skins, things like that are free. But the maps and the game modes totally free. So, whenever they come up with something new, as far as those are concerned, just expect it to be downloaded straight to you, which is a very cool thing. And you're starting to see a couple more games start to head down that path, which is very, very cool. Um, I like that idea because it's a smart way to keep fans invested without having to constantly break out their wallet. Now, me personally, I'm not a opponent of DLC. My feelings on DLC is this: if you're someone who thinks that DLC is of a quality that you think you would want or enjoy, by all means, buy it. Spend your money. It's your money. You do what you want to make you happy. At the same time, I do definitely, hate that more times than not, games are now being built with this paid DLC system behind it, so that yeah, you'll get a complete campaign, and you'll get a multiplayer experience. But if you want to expand on that, or you want to get better things, you have to invest in the season passes or the individual pack fees. So it's a nice way of getting a little bit more money out of your pocket. But again, if you're really into something, why not? It's really not the end of the world that people buy this because as much as a lot of us gamers don't like it, let's be real. The gaming industry is a business, and the reason why these companies are making games aren't just because they want to express their creative side, but because they got bills to pay and they want to make money. The developers working on the games want to be able to feed their families, take care of their kids and wife or whoever. Just enjoy life, get a car, pay their own bills for their own place, things like that. So money is going to be part of the motivation on top of having a love for the art form, having a love for what you do, be it you're a programmer or you're an art designer in gaming. You know, it's your passion, but at the same time, you do need to get paid for that. And of course, corporations, of course, that's what they want. They want to get as much money out of you as possible. And bottom line is, again, going back to the whole, if you want to buy it, that's your choice. Do what you want with your money. Enough of us do what we want with our money and buy these things to where it's not going to stop anytime soon. So, to continually harp on it, it's kind of become a muted argument because at the end of the day, most of us, including a lot of us who complain about DLC, are going to purchase at least one piece of DLC this year, if not more. And we'll have all the excuses in the world. We'll, have, you know, the usual, like, well, the only way I can complete this is if I get this. So I had no choice. Okay, you always had a choice. You don't have to be a completionist and get them all the multiplayer trophies that came with the new DLC. It's okay. You've played it enough. But it's appealing to you. Let's be honest. It appeals to you. You dig it. You want it. You like it. You get it. Just I don't know. I guess one of the things that make DLC such a divisive topic is that not all DLC is good. Just like not all games are good. And with people being more vocal than ever with Twitter, Facebook, and all that, people are a lot more reactionary and they don't really think things through. It's not like, okay, when I was a kid, if I got a bad game, I only had two options. I could take it back to GameSpot and see how much credit they're going to give me, or I could just suck it up and have it sitting in my room and either play it or just stare at it and discuss. So I don't know. I guess now because you have more of a direct feed to these people, you don't have to um, worry about having a phone number or an address. You can just go on Twitter, find out their handle, curse them out in person, um, so to speak. That is, so it's really interesting because I think there's some really good DLC out there. There's some DLC that's worth purchasing. If a game is great enough to where it wants me to explore its options, I don't mind. But if it's not to my liking, yet I'm still pumping in money with these DLCs to see if it'll get better, then I have a problem. But otherwise, I don't see what's the problem with people who buy DLC in the long run because hey, they're doing what they feel would make them happy or what they feel is best for them. You know, it sucks because a lot of us are going to look at it as this is hurting the community as a whole, but I guess the lack of profit would probably hurt it even more. Maybe I don't know. All I know is that I don't think that its DLC is as bad as people make out. As long as you just be willing to make choices. Be willing to say, no, I don't need or want that. Sure, this will do me better, but you know what? I'd rather earn it instead of get the DLC if I can. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I guess people don't want to ask those questions because I think 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be, of course, I want and need that DLC, and I'm going to get it as soon as I can, and leave it there. Next up, now that the NBA Finals is over, pretty much all the moves being made in the NFL and, of course, post NBA as well has been um, the topic of choice for most sports news outlets. I know ESPN had a brief moment where they discussed a couple of soccer players like Messi quitting Argentina's national team. You know, the women basketball team asking for where they can go and stuff like that. Around that's more of a local thing, finding stories like that. But uh, where was I going with this? Yeah, sorry, medicine is kicking in right now, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting things in sports. A lot of interesting things going on. Um, one, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the like big topic. People trying to figure out where the hell he's going. I don't know, but it's probably not anywhere but Oklahoma City. I really don't see him leaving. So I think that while he's going through the paces and talking to all these teams, I think his heart is going to be in Oklahoma, and he's going to stay with OKC for the long run. NBA draft, like I said, went down, um, and and I'm trying to be nice here, people. It just wasn't that interesting. I'm sorry. NBA draft, we really, really need to figure something out because maybe it's just me, but draft pools are becoming even thinner and thinner as these kids make that jump from college to the pros. Way too many like players that are nowhere near ready to make any type of contribution was on the board for me. A couple of suspect people as well. Like, I'm sorry, I know a lot of people believe in Ben Simmons, but some of the like things he showed me attitude wise, um, at LSU kind of gives me concern. I think that boy is talented as hell, all the skills in the world, but giving the situation he's going to in Philadelphia, coupled with some of those things that kind of like, him just having moments where, okay, we're getting beat. I'm not just gonna like power it down here and chill out and not really give that much effort sometimes. That concerns me because if he's willing to do that in college, like against the Texas A&M game, I felt like, I don't know, he had pretty decent stats because again, he's talented as hell, but I just didn't really, maybe maybe I just caught it at the wrong time because I came in after halftime and they were already like super defeated. I just felt like he was just like, yeah, I'm going to the NBA draft. I don't give a fuck right now. Um, things like that. So that worries me. But then Philadelphia, like all the messes that they've made of their first round picks over the last 4 years or so, I worry about him because I worry that he's going to get put in that very negative environment and that any of his bad habits are going to get fostered and he's just not going to have a good time there. Um, and Philly still won't improve. Like, how many big men is that in a row now? Good Lord. Jeez, Philly. But I don't blame him with him because he is the most talented player in the draft, basically. So, yeah. Um, will be interested to see what Brandon Ingram does in a Lakers uniform. Um, he did some good things for Duke last year, but again, raw talent, very raw talent. I honestly think that the team that's going to probably get the most out of their uh first like pick is going to be the Pelicans because Buddy Hield can shoot his ass off. And if they could just like put him in situations where he can, get open off screens and shoot his ass off, he might be able to make a bigger impact than expected. And other than that, it's just like lots of potential as always. It's lots of potential, lots of potential, lots of potential, lots of potential. Um, that's just the way it goes now. Again, it's not that these dudes lack talent; it's just that they're raw talents, and I don't know how much, especially this year. I mean, I'm just rolling the names. We'll see what type of impact that these guys can make. Hopefully, whatever they do, they're successful. I wish them all the best of luck. Definitely, definitely. Real quick, why is Andrew Luck being paid so much? Um, Mind you, it's not like I don't like Andrew Luck, but Andrew Luck, uh, Andrew Luck. It's funny when you look back at that draft. Of course, the comparison is always like, well, they got the better end of the deal because they didn't end up with you know washout RG3, which I don't necessarily think that dude's a total washout, at least not yet. Um, get him healthy, get him back on the field, and get him in a less toxic situation than DC. And for those who don't know, I am a Redskins fan, so I should know DC has been very toxic for years and years and years. When it comes to that football team, but he's out of that situation now. Maybe he can bounce back and make a fresh start. We don't know. I mean, we could all say that he's over, but I have to imagine that a guy who's barely had a chance to play due to injuries since his rookie year, where he had a phenomenal season and he showed flashes of being a great commodity to a team. I have to find it hard to believe that he's done. Um, coming out of the situation he came out with. But we'll see. We'll see if Cleveland can be a resting place for him. But that being said, Andrew Luck's benefited, in my opinion, on being on the better team anyway. What he's been with the better, he was with the better team and the better organization. Colts have a far better track record of taking their players, letting them grow, develop, and putting the pieces around them that they feel they need to make this a winning team. They build around their franchise quarterbacks. And Andrew Luck's been put in a situation where he can thrive more. Mind you, the guy's been shaky. And I'm gonna sneeze. Apologies, I had to get that sneeze out. Told you guys I've been sick. Um, but uh he's been put in a much better position, even though his shakiness has shown. He's taken a lot of sacks that I don't think he needed to take because he holds on to the ball too much. Sounds familiar? Um, he throws a lot. He does a lot of turnovers. His high turnover ratio, which is, um, you know, he has to get that under control. He's always amongst the top in quarterback turnovers, which ain't a good thing at all. But he throws a lot of touchdowns. They generate a lot of points, so people kind of look past that, And the AFC South isn't the strongest of the divisions, so he's been able to continually go to the playoffs. Um, so he gets that contract. Um, it, it's crazy. And I believe what was it, $140 million extension till 2021. Woo, that's a lot of money. Good lord. But I have to believe that the Colts did it because not just because they have some type of faith and luck, but they have a game plan to continue to build around that guy and to keep him successful. So, I mean, I don't know if I would have gave it to him, but it is what it is. Um, Whatever. Um, anyway, so let's move off of sports now. But yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff going on. So there's been some interesting things to follow with sports. Oh yeah, the Derrick Rose thing, by the way. Just really briefly, don't want to get too much into that because I've already like you said my like piece, my angry piece on it. But I need Knicks fans to calm down and not think that this is their championship run. They're gonna need a lot more than Derrick. And Carmelo's still there, and I don't know what the chemistry is going to be like with Carmelo. Carmelo has been, for the most part of his career, a chemistry breaker. That man needs to have the ball too much to be effective, and tell you he still end up taking the ball out of the hands of other talented people. Um, I don't know. Just New York fans have muted expectations, please. Don't get too overhyped, even though you are, because I mean, I will give New York fans credit. They live and die with the Knicks, even though that franchise has not been the best over the years. But it is what it is. Um. Anyway, so entertainment was pretty entertained by the BET Awards. Yes, I said it. I was entertained by the BET Awards. It was something that I didn't want to watch, but my co-host on the His Point Her View podcast really wanted me to watch it. Oh man, I'm so glad that I'm closing in on the end of this, by the way, guys, because this medicine is starting to kick in. I'm already had my lucid moment on the sports. I'm trying to keep it together for you guys because I really wanted to put this out. But anyway, uh, yeah. Um, okay, so the performances, outside of the Stevie Wonder stuff, most of the Stevie Wonder stuff, for the most, for in my opinion, killed. Um, but removing the Stevie, I'm sorry, did I say Stevie Wonder? See, this is why the medicine's kicking in. The Prince tributes. God damn it. And I know Stevie Wonder was on there, people. He did a hell of a job too. Great for him. But yeah, the Prince tributes, remove those from the equation. I would say outside of Beyonce's performance, I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, some of the new talent that they displayed, they seemed okay. Um, for the first time of being on a stage, they seemed okay. Uh, fucking designer, yo, just check the other podcast to hear me go off on him. But I'm just gonna sum his thing up as trash. Didn't care for future reasons. Okay, so neither one of them I care for because they played their songs while like occasionally coming in live with lyrics, and they weren't even rhyming the whole songs. They would just rhyme bits and pieces and then hop around the stage while the song played the track and said the words. That to me is not a performance. That is a mockery. That is something that as an artist you should never do. Um, to me, that shows that you don't really take your craft serious. And so therefore I should not take you serious. Um, but the Beyonce, Kendrick Lamar, that was the tops. Um, Usher's was cool. I didn't realize that he had Young Thug out on the stage. I must have thought that was just some girl walking around aimlessly, and that's why I didn't notice. Um, the presentations were horrible for the most part. The reason I say they were horrible because they talk too much. Every presentation was a commercial, a promo. And it didn't need to be. You didn't need to have these comedy sketches. None of that stuff. All you had to do is come out and give your presentations, unless it was a presentation for an award, such as something that Jesse Williams got, for an achievement award. Then you should have something more to say, and it should be based around the achievement. Don't promote your goddamn movie to me um, before handing off a lifetime achievement award or something like that. You know what I mean? Fucking, it annoyed me all damn night. And then some of the people they had on the up like Karuchi, come on, or Karachi or whatever her fucking like name is. She's famous because she fucked a famous person. That's not cool. Um, this is not cool, people. Not cool at all. But anyway, Jesse Williams, that speech, amazing. Um, Best thing I've heard in God knows how long. I love that he unapologetically went after people who dismiss things like Black Lives Matter and who try to disavow or disacknowledge certain things like cultural appropriation, uh, you know, prejudice, things like that. I love that he attacked us as black people. And when I say attack, he wasn't being spiteful. Some people probably think that, but I'll get to that later. I mean, he wasn't being like spiteful. He wasn't being mean, but he put us in check. The comment about, we, used to be branded, and now what are we doing now? We're working to accumulate money so we can be branded by the labels that we buy. Things like that. And I know I did not quote him properly, but that was the gist of his comment was like, "Yo, you guys, we for years we didn't want to be, you know, treated like cattle, but we're running out here and being sheep, slaves to money and brands and labels, and having other people's labels and stuff on our bodies to identify us as something." He was like, "You don't just because you are here with money don't mean that you it's over. You have to like think about other things in life. The bigger consequences in life." I love that he called us black men out for the way we treat our black women and saying that we need to do better. That was a great thing too. Um, I love that the statement about the creation of whiteness, because I think that was just going to build a good conversation. Because when you think about it, it's a very true statement. Um, because honestly, until we got here in this country, separating race by color, I don't think was ever a big thing, because you got to think in Europe, it was the Spaniards versus the French, or the English versus the Spaniards, or the Germans, or back then the Teutons, um, versus the Russians. Things like it was like the identification. I mean the Prussians. Sorry, that would probably be more accurate. It was like you're more identified by where you were from than your skin tone. And I think I agree. Like whiteness is kind of an invention, because it wasn't a thing until till America came to be. And America, even from the inception of America, it came to be with multiple cultures here. So when they got here and the Indians are here, okay, so the whites and the red people, you know, that was the way you separate it. You know what I mean? We're white, and you're, whatever derogatory comment we could come up with. Um, So yeah, the term whiteness is kind of a creation when you think about it. You really go back and think about it. But he says so many clever things in that speech. I highly recommend if you can listen to it, please listen to it. But let's move on to the editorial so I can get out of here because the medicine has me really feeling woozy and sleepy, and I'll probably say some more dumb shit along the way. So apologies, people. But I wanted to give you this episode because I it's been promised. Um, so going off the Jesse Williams speech, which again I think was phenomenal, the reaction has been kind of interesting. We've had the Justin Timberlake incident, which again I'll probably go into the details of that on a podcast after this. Like probably his, I actually want to discuss a lot of this in detail on his and her. But we'll see. But like the Justin Timberlake thing, Justin, it's cool that you inspired, but you fucked up when you got like uppity because somebody made a comment about the Janet thing or you appropriating black music. One, yeah, we should probably leave the Janet thing alone because that was so long ago. Um, can't say that he didn't apologize because we don't know what him and Janet's relationship was like. I don't recall Janet ever saying he didn't apologize. I do understand though that a lot of the um, angst against him is because he didn't vocally stand by her side when she was catching a lot of flack. You know, he didn't even really have to say that. He just had to show up and be there and support, and he kind of disappeared. So I understand that part, but yeah, it's so old now. Whatever. Um, definitely do understand the appropriation thing, but it's like they started a Twitter war, and most of the people were basing it off of that. It's like it didn't need to escalate to that point. It really didn't. Um, because at the end of the day, that fight kind of took away from what Jesse Williams was saying because you just boiled this down into a shouting match between, you know, one celebrity who said that he was inspired, but because he's white, you guys jumped on him. Um, and you know, it just kind of muted Jesse in a little way to me. It's like so much has been going on the internet now. And this is what happens all the time where there's something really important, something really serious going on that we need to sit, pay attention, and if possible, have a true, serious heart to heart discussion about. A lot of what happens though is that things get broken down into these shouting matches that veer off the point. You know, the being mad at Justin for saying he's inspired because he's white. The memes that people put out. One particular meme I saw, and again, I'm gonna not go into detail, but this guy was trying to compare Jesse Williams' situation to the Isaiah Washington incident that got him fired. Um, and I've seen people make references that Jesse Williams wouldn't be able to say what he said if he wasn't half white, and all that's like you guys have taken the entire speech and it hasn't even been a week, people, and the internet has already marginalized like what he said. Could you imagine what it would have been like during the civil rights if we had the internet and memes? Malcolm X and Martin Luther King will be treated as jokes by people. But that's what we do. We break things down into jokes now. We always trying to like come up with the next classic thing to put on the internet to get people to like laugh at or to pay attention to. Or we become that screaming pundit that makes no sense. But damn it, I have a forum and I'm allowed to yell and be nonsensical. So I'm gonna be it, damn it. I'm gonna come up with all the damn conspiracies that I could think of. I'm not going to have any real reason or any explanation. I'm just gonna throw shit out there and be divisive and cause controversy. And again, at the end of the day, take what was the subject at hand and turn it into nothing. Because that's what people are kind of doing. They're making it seem like, yo, this dude did not just get up here and make a very impassioned speech about, race and culture to try to motivate us to do better, to have a real discussion on these matters, and to work towards a better, you know, a better solution, a better day. Now, we got to be cracking jokes and taking pot shots at each other, and I 100% can guarantee you that was not the intent of him giving that speech. But as always, the internet seems to ruin things, and that just bothers the fuck out of me. And I wish that it's one day the internet can mature enough to realize how stupid that shit is. But it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a long time coming. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the moments of like bugging out, especially about the women's basketball thing, because I know a lot of you don't care about women's basketball, but here we have the Mystics, and yeah, where they're going, we don't know because they're not really good. Um, that organization's kind of fucked right now, and they need to get it together. And it's kind of like a theme in the Washington D.C. area. It's like these teams don't know where they're going. Um, WNBA teams no different. But anyway, that's for another day of discussion. Again, you can catch us in audio form on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and iTunes. All the links will be down in the description. And we hope you enjoyed the show, guys. So I'm gonna go get some rest, and hopefully I'll feel better. I'll holler at you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.